Good morning, friends. Ash here, WAT News with another update. I decided to do a Scytl dig on this company that's in the news now, and I actually came across another article. But before I do that, I want to show you guys something that I noticed in my YouTube real quick. This is my dashboard for Ash We Are the News. Now, I posted a video on all the platforms several days ago, which was this video. CNN caught vote switching in Pennsylvania in live time. Now watch, this is 302, right? This number's been fluctuating for days. Now if I go to videos and I look that same video up, which is a little bit down in my feed here, I'll show it to you. It's the highest ranked one. CNN called vote switching, right? Pennsylvania, 1,707 views. Okay. I go to dashboard though, and it's telling me that that same video has 302 views. This number's been steadily going down instead of up. So I just think that's obvious right there. YouTube is obviously pushing down videos it doesn't want out there. But when you look at on videos and you go to how many views that video has, it's 1,707. And it's not just an updating thing. It's, I don't know, they're just downplaying it. So anyway, on back to the matter at hand. I caught this article, just came out in Gateway Pundit. Fraud, shocking exclusive, we caught them. Pennsylvania results show it's a statistically impossible pattern behind Biden's steal. We caught them. Just want to check this article out real quick because it has a lot of data in it. And it shows that the mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania are so much lower for Trump when he got so much more of votes in the regular vote. So what they're saying in a sense is, how can his mail-in ballots be so low and so many of the mail-in ballots go just to Biden, and he had a 600, 700,000 vote lead, and somehow that lead got eaten away by these ballots. So we caught them, we caught their fraud. And in this post, our first of many, we will reveal how they stole the battleground states. The fix is in. The current results of the presidential election in Pennsylvania reported to the public are fraudulent because they are nearly statistically impossible. On election night, President Trump totally ran away with the election in Pennsylvania. President Trump was ahead of Joe Biden by nearly 700,000 votes. It was an insurmountable lead. The president was still ahead in Pennsylvania with 56% of the vote to Biden's 43% the next morning. The president was winning Pennsylvania and held 675,000 vote lead in the election over Joe Biden. And they have a screen cap here of Fox of the night of, and you can see that Joe's at 2.290, 2,290,000, and Trump is at 2,965,000, 64% in. What happened next was corrupt and criminal as the Democrats went about to steal Pennsylvania for Biden. They took the Trump landslide and they criminally flipped it to Joe Biden. According to Pennsylvania's election returns website, on election day, President Trump won nearly two-thirds of all votes cast in the state. The president won 2.7 million votes compared to Biden's 1.4 million votes. The president's votes were nearly twice as many as Joe Biden's. And here we have election day, Joe Biden, 3.38 million, Trump, mail 588,333, provisional 11,694, 2,728,746, Trump 1,407,529 for Joe. So you could see there was a huge difference. What happened next was shocking. Pennsylvania began counting ballots by mail. There was no reporting on how many votes were outstanding at the end of election night. There was no reporting ever that we are aware of where the state announced how many votes were left to count after the election. They just kept counting. And that's what I was saying. Remember when I kept looking at the New York statistics, and I'm like, how can you only have counted 6 or 7 million votes? There's 19 million people in the state, and you're still 8, 9 days, 10 days later, you haven't counted anymore. What's going on? Are you still counting votes or not? The state also allowed votes to come in for 3 more days after the election. Of course, these were all mail-in ballots. We do not know how many mail-in ballots came in during these 3 days. The Republicans were not allowed to observe the counting of those votes, even though a court order was in place demanding that the state do so. These actions go against Pennsylvania's Constitution, which states that the voting process is to be determined by the legislature. The change in ruling was implemented by the executive and judicial branches. This is an important issue with the Trump campaign and their complaints against the state as they try to undo the injustices in PA. Today, the state is reporting more than 2.5 million mail-in ballots. This number was never seen before in the state. As the mail-in ballots were counted, the state began cutting into the president's 675,000 vote lead, and eventually they gave the election to Biden. Biden won 2 million of the 2.5 million mail-in ballots. How could the president receive only 1/5 of the mail-in ballots after crushing Biden in in-person voting on election day? The answer is this was basically impossible, and here's why. When we looked at these statistics and we identified a pattern that is virtually mathematically impossible, the president won 2/3 of the election day vote. But with the basic exception of Philadelphia, the president won around 80% of the vote in each county in the state. See the blue line in basic in the chart below showing the percent of election day votes won by Trump. Philadelphia is so large that it offers these numbers and brings the president's results down to around 65% of the state's votes on election day. What happened with the mail-in votes is almost statistically impossible. See the orange line below. In almost every county throughout the state, the president was awarded a percent of votes 40% less than the percent the president won on election day. See the gray line below. If Trump won a county by 80% of the vote on election day, he won 40% of the mail-in vote for a county. If the president won 60% of the vote on election day, he won 20% of the mail-in vote in another county. This pattern occurred in almost every county, with the only noticeable exception of Philadelphia, where the president only earned 30% of the vote on election day. And here's a chart showing how much more how he was doing on election day as opposed to the mail-in where he's marketably less, which that doesn't really make sense to me either. These numbers are so consistent that they are almost certainly fraudulent. This never happens in data sets. Below is the data by county. Note the counties are listed alphabetically. Number 51 is Philadelphia. And here's all the counties here. Try to make this bigger. See if we can see it a little better. You can see that on election day in these, say in Adams, right? He got 81% of the vote, but he's only getting 38% of the mail-in. So how could that be, right? That's like half. Shouldn't that be higher if he's doing really well there? Allegheny, 58%, 19% mail-in. So you can see he's below, well below in a lot of these counties, 67, 26, 91, 54. So is it possible that, in all these counties where on election day he's doing very strong, that he would be so weak in the mail-in? Probably not, right? I mean, that doesn't sound kosher to me, but we'll see how that plays out. They got to see how many of these ballots came in that were fraudulent. There's got to be a certain amount that are. Again, the fact that the mail-in votes and election day votes mirrored each other as revealed in the diagram above is basically impossible. Also, the extent of separation is very large at 40%. We obtained another example for comparison's sake in Arkansas. In Arkansas, the difference between percent of election day ballots won versus mail-in ballots varied widely between 2 and 40%, but the average was clearly closer to 25%. So they got caught. We looked at other states that were not swing states, and the lowest percent in mail-in ballots less than the president's election day votes was 40%, but this occurred very rarely. We also spoke with Dr. V.A. Shiva Ayyadurai, the inventor of email and polymath, earlier today, and he mentioned he is seeing similar patterns in voting data from this year's election. We believe we are onto something here. It is clear that corrupt Democrats in Pennsylvania did all they could to steal the 2020 presidential election for Joe Biden. There was no excitement for the Biden campaign, and there still isn't. Republicans are convinced he cheated. Tonight we caught them. So, again, we don't know for a fact how many ballots were injected in. There was no number, but you could see that he had this massive lead on the election night, and they managed through these mail-ins to whittle it away with 2/3 of the vote almost going to Biden of those mail-ins, which is I would say statistically highly unlikely at the least, and it could be worse at the worst. So I wanted to also now get into the Scytl company, right? Because I saw on Gateway Pundit that their website had crashed. Let me just go to that article so I can show it to you real quick. Scytl company website crashes. Company reportedly released statement refuting reports of U.S. raid in Germany. So I went to the Scytl site, and it is crashed. Scytl.com.en. All their articles that they had online are gone. All the statements are gone. Everything's gone. Website got scrubbed off the internet, as far as I could tell. So I wanted you to see this American Thinker article. Well, first, let me back up and go to this, because this is connected. Scytl was acquired by Service Point Solutions, part of the Paragon Group. October the 20th. Now, note the date. This company was acquired basically less than 2 weeks before the election for some reason. And now this company is possibly at the center of this issue with servers, overseas servers possibly. I mean, this is getting into spy novel stuff. A Barcelona, Spain-based company provider of digital voting and electoral modernization tech announced that it was acquired by Service Point Solutions, a company quoted in the Spanish stock exchange and part of Paragon Group. Financial details of the transaction were not disclosed. The acquisition also includes Civicity, the citizen participation platform launched by Scytl in 2016, and the subsidiaries from USA, Canada, Australia, France, and Greece. As part of its integration into the Paragon Group, the company will be renamed Scytl Election Technologies, and this company was formed in 2001. What's interesting is this company was going out of business. It was in creditors give the green light to the sale of Scytl to the Irish Paragon. So we know now that Paragon is an Irish company. The bankruptcy of the Catalan electronic voting company Scytl. This is from October 1st, 2020 on Archive. The bankruptcy of Catalan electronic voting company Scytl is approaching its outcome. The Irish group Paragon will take control of the technology company after months of negotiations with the bank to find a solution to its liquidation, according to ARA from sources close to the operation. Yesterday was the deadline. The judge had given the creditors to reach an agreement on Paragon's proposal, which, as he advanced the vanguard, was the only offer in this phase. Scytl was dragging a debt of 75 million euros, of which creditors will end up collecting only 3% in return for the brands and licenses that will remain the buyer, say the same voices. The Irish group, which bought 80% of Service Point in 2015, offers to collect the sum. And so you could see that this company was basically purchased right before the election, and I don't know how, but somehow votes from the allegation is that votes were being stored on a server of theirs over in Germany. And if that allegation is true, that's illegal, because you cannot store, as far as I know of the law, any of our data like that outside the country. I mean, that's totally outside the purview of the law, as far as I could tell. Uh, so the other interesting thing is that Scytl, hang on, where was that article? Was acquired by Paragon Group, but it's also was backed by professional investors, including Nordic Capital and Vulcan Capital. Vulcan Capital is the multi-billion-dollar investment arm of Microsoft co-founder and philanthropist Paul Allen. And we heard in the other article that as well that Bill Gates also has some interest in this, possibly in this company or in some of these funds. And so you're starting to see a pattern here where is Soros and Gates connected to this company? Did they just pick up this company because it was in bankruptcy and it was cheap and it had technology that they could use to mess around with the election? We don't know that yet, but it's starting to appear that way to me. This is the Service Point website, and there was a newsfeed article here. Service Point comes out of insolvency proceedings, and this is from Barcelona, December the 18th, 2014. The early creditors' agreement of Service Point Solutions presented to the court on May 26 has been approved by the judgment laid down. And so they closed the insolvency proceedings initiated in that year, which was 2014. So this company's been in financial problems for some time. It seemed like, let's see, it seems like what this company it's in Spanish, but it appears that they do quality digital printing, managed services, service desks in your offices, extra mile service. So they do some kind of digital printing. Maybe they do ballot printing or some kind of paper printing for the ballots in elections. We're not sure. Um, so I just wanted to show you that all these Scytl articles I was looking for were gone. Service Point Solutions. Let's see. Let's see if this comes up. Yeah. See, they scrubbed their entire website. It appears. Scytl. So that's odd, right? Why would you just scrub your entire website? What's going on here, right? Here's something. Spanish e-voting company Scytl behind the U.S. election frauds, and this is gnews.org. I haven't seen this site before. Attorney Lincoln Linwood has joined President Trump's team in fighting back on the 2020 election fraud. Wood particularly claimed that a foreign government, the Chinese Communist Party, was behind the various tactics of voter fraud that led to the premature projection of a Biden win. One of his earliest tweets revealed that a company called Scytl plays a key role and was purchased by a company called Paragon. He suggested that Joe Biden's co-conspirators are well aware of both companies, suggesting that Biden might be directly involved in election fraud. And here's Linwood's tweet. Biden and his criminal cronies are not going to sleep well tonight. Well, Biden might. We saw this already. His co-conspirators know the name. Everything will be revealed. Louis Gohmert reveals U.S. Army CIA team raid on Scytl server facility in Frankfurt, Germany. We covered this. So, we'll have to see how this all plays out. Scytl Secure Electronic Voting is an electronic voting system and technology from Spain, founded in 2001 in Barcelona. The project covers the entire process of elections, including planning, online voter registration, poll worker management, election ballot delivery, online voting results, consolidation. So this thing does it all. I mean, in terms of if you want to do a perfect rig package, I mean, this would be it, right? If it went wrong, I'm saying if somebody was doing it, this would be the perfect way to do it, right? And so maybe that's why they acquired this company, because they saw, well, hey, this is something we could maybe use here, and it's cheap. These guys don't have a problem with spending like $60-80 million on something, you know. It is one of the largest election companies similar to the Dominion voting systems. Dominion is reported to have involvement in the fraudulence in the 2020 election. Based on Scytl's website, 78 million voters from more than 800 U.S. counties and states, including Colorado, Georgia, New Jersey, California, and Texas, benefited from Scytl's secure election solutions. So we'll have to see, man. In the 2020 election, it has consolidated election results for 7 states and impacted more than 48 million voters. Republic reported that Scytl received large amounts of funds from the Spanish government and that the funds were used in ways contrary to what had been stipulated. According to its own website, Scytl acquired 100% of SOE Software, the leading software provider of election management solutions in the United States, back in 2012. So, I mean, this is getting into some, like, deep, heavy stuff now. Scytl is involved in controversies of voting frauds and failures in various countries: Australia, Ecuador. 2014, all the ballots ended up having to be scanned manually at the company's headquarters. They never delivered results. Norway in 2011 and 13, the country's government ended the experiment of e-voting using Scytl products for fear of frauds. So it's starting to get into, you're starting to realize that, somebody may have affected elections in many different countries over the years, using softwares like this, or their predecessors. And, was the CIA doing this? Were were they affecting different elections in different countries overseas? That's the allegation a lot of people are making. Uh, we don't know that yet, but you can see how easy it would be to do, especially in other countries where they don't even have the number of people watching the process, or they aren't as aware of what these things are as some people in this country are now. Uh, you can see how it's so simple to. It would be very easy to affect the elections in any number of ways, and put leaders into power that will favor whatever your global plans are. So that's it for now, guys. I just wanted to do that sort of surface dig on this company. It seems like now we can connect it to at least one person, Paul Allen, and possibly to Gates and Soros as well. And we know that this company was in receivership at one point, and then was rescued out, and we don't really know what else they were doing with it. But since then, we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. Was a server seized in Germany or not? And what was on that server, and why was that server, and why was that data being kept in a foreign country that had something to do with our election results? That's highly unusual, and it smells bad to me. So with that, guys, I'll talk with you soon, and thanks for watching my vids, and have a great day. This is Ash, WAT, signing off.